So for this tutorial, we're going to learn how to texture map. I'm going to show you this one cool website that will help you to find the texture that you need. It's called textures.com. You only have to sign up and you will get 15 free credits every day, and then you can actually get high quality seamless texture. So for example, if I go to concrete and I want bare, let's say that, you can see the indication of it being seamless. You can click on that and you can download it for free. Also, it's good to actually organize and put your textures in one folder. I put it here in the third folder called Rhino for this exercise, and I have another folder inside called Acid where I take and collect all my textures in. Let's move on to here. So first, you want to make sure that your Rhino renderer is on. So you go to render, go to current renderer, and make sure Rhino render is selected. Now go over here to the materials, which is the paint tube icon, and then go to this plus sign. And for example, we're going to texture map this, and it's going to be a painted surface. So I'm going to use paint, and then I'm going to name it black paint. Now you can change the color here. It will bring you up to here. Another tips is that whenever you want to texture map something with black, I would suggest to get dark gray instead of black, because it will help you to get the definitions of the shape. And then you can play with the glossiness. For this one, I want it to be a little bit glossy but not really like matte. So to texture map it, you want to select the objects of your selection, and then right click on the material, assign to objects. Right now you don't really see what's changing, but you have to change your view mode into rendered. So this is after, this is before, this is after. Another way of doing texture map is through the downloaded image that we have. So for example, I want to texture map this into the carpet texture. So let's go ahead and create a new material, and now it's custom, and under the color, under the textures, click to assign texture and find the location of the textures. And for this example, like I said before, it's carpet, so select that, open, and then select the object, right click on the material and assign to objects. Right now the scale is kind of what I needed it to be, which is the same scale as, or similar scale as the carpet as a plan, but let's say I want it to be smaller. So one way to change that is to click on the object, and then you go to properties layer, and you go to texture mapping, and then right over here is the size. But let's say it was all janky. There are other ways of texture mapping. There's planar mapping, box, spherical, cylindrical, and we have surface mapping also. And I have listed all these explanations on the Google Docs. So let's say we use box mapping because all of our objects is pretty much boxy. Now you can type in the dimensions that you want. For example, I'm typing 10 by 10 by 10, and it will ask the cap and say yes. As you see here, it's too small for me, so I want to change that size. So go ahead and select the object, go to the texture map, and then you want to log the proportion and change the dimension as you need it. If I want the scale of the texture to be bigger, then input a bigger number. So let's say 150. I still don't like the seam, so I'm gonna make it bigger. You can also rotate the dimensions of this texture, the way it's being mapped to UVW rotation. Or you can actually open up a UV editor over here, and it will ask for you to draw in the canvas pretty much. So you determine the corner, and what it does is unfolding the object that you have, and then based on the image underneath, that's where the faces are actually being mapped. So as you can see here, I can actually select one of the faces here, and then it will be highlighted here on the object. So let's say I want to select something that is easier to see, which is over here, and I want to scale them. I can scale them with gumball, and this texture becomes bigger, or I can rotate it. Um, you can see it's moving. But for now, through box mapping, I'm pretty happy of how it is. Go ahead and cancel that. So yeah, texture map every object and model in more. You can also model wall. You can um, model like doors. And I've modeled some walls also in addition to that. After finishing your texture map, the next step is to set up your render. So first, you want to create a new layer called guidelines. And let's change the color to white. And let's go move to that layer, move it all the way up, and let's lock the other layers. So while you're under that guidelines layer, let's go back to shaded view. We want to make the border of your house. So let's go to the top view. By using polyline, trace the outline of your house. Remember to hold your shift and tab to make it easier. Make sure they're close. Now select that border and type area centroid. I will show you this point. Now you can delete the outline. Let's go back to perspective view and zoom in to that point. Type zoom, select it. Now we want to draw a vertical line by typing line, select vertical, and from that point type in the dimension 1.7 meters or 1.7 m to determine the unit. Click that, you'll have this line. Now go ahead to your box and center and click from the end of this vertical line and type in the dimension 100 by 100 by 100. Then click on the box, extract wireframe, because we don't need the solid part, we only need the curves. Now select all these curves, type move, vertical, and bring it down to the midpoint. So once you get the midpoint of the cube, click on it, bring it down to the end of this line. Next step is go to properties, and you want to change your lens length into 11. It will look weird right now, but keep it this way and then you will have your projection as perspective. That's all you need for now. And then you want to draw a line and click on both sides, and starting from that end of the vertical lines, while holding shift, pull it to the north direction and snap it to the corners. Have that line. While holding Alt, turn this gumball and hold shift so it snaps to the 90-degree and release it. So we want to set our views and camera. Go to view, set camera, place camera and target, and you would do from this intersection to the end of the one of the lines. And for the north direction, you want to save this view and call it front. So go ahead and type named view, and then it will change this sidebar that you have. Click save as, change it to front. You want to do it to all of the sides, including the plan view, but you don't want the ceiling. So go ahead and repeat this step. And for the plan view, you just want to go to top view and kind of have it around this box. Zoom it out a little bit and save it. Name it top. The next step that you want to do is to set up your render scene. So first you want to create a new layer called light, and then go to that layer and lock the guidelines. Now go to render, create rectangular lights, and you can start from anywhere type in the number 1000 for the first dimension, click it to the side, and then another 1000, click it to the other side, and make sure it's pointing down like so. So you want to bring this kind of to the center of where that line is. You can eyeball it, and then by using your gumball, move it up by 1000, and then you want to go to properties, go to light, and you want to change the intensity to 50. Now copy this light over from this edge to that other edge. Then you want to select that light, type rotate 3D, and use this edge as the axis. And for the first reference point is this corner, and type in 45 degree. Now you'll have this set up. Now go to render, make sure current render is Rhino render, and then go to render properties, and it will open up this window. So you want your dimension to custom and change the size to 3300 by 3300 pixels, and the DPI is 300. You want to change the quality to good quality as well. And if you scroll down, you want it to be transparent background, no ground plane, and then you want to render the curves as well. Then hit OK. Then you can go to your named views, which is on the sidebar, and you can go to the front. Okay, now we want to make two types of renders. One is the one only with the plan with no furnitures, and the other one will be the ones with the furniture. So I'll go ahead and hide all these furnitures layer and leaving only light, guidelines, and image on, and we'll go to render and hit render. It'll pop up this window and wait for it to be done. After it's completed, you want to save this image by clicking on this icon, go hit save, and bring it to the location that you want. And then I'm going to this location, output cube map image renders, and I'm going to change the type into PNGs, and I'll name it render underscore the view name front underscore base, and hit save. Once you're done saving, you can close this window and then do the other type of renders. So you turn on all the other layers except the image layer. Now go ahead and hit render again. After it's completed, you want to save this image in the same folder and change the name to render underscore front underscore furniture. Hit save. Do all these type of renders on every views except the top view. For top views, you'll want to turn off your guidelines before rendering.